Welcome back to Hugo Media, this time in a slightly different setting that is more experimental and industrial. It is primarily a place designed for testing all reflections, transparency, and of course image quality. That's why the room has windows on one side, so there are reflections in the display and at the same time pleasant light. And on the other side, there is a plain wall. What you see here at first glance doesn't look like a transparent OLED display, but it really is. The entire structure primarily consists of a windshield, and we know a little that this time there are two 55-inch transparent OLED LG displays implemented on the windshield, and at the same time on the other side, which you might see later, there is another layer of glass. The reason is that this sandwich is designed so that the entire stand can be easily placed in the store display, and therefore it must be protected not only from the front but primarily from the back. After all, people walk by and no one will care if someone accidentally leans against the display with a backpack or anything else. And given that these displays are still very expensive, we have to pay a lot of attention to the safety and protection of the displays themselves. Here you can see that in terms of image quality and color fidelity, they are absolutely full-fledged colors. This means the display can actually play any spectrum of videos, has very high quality viewing angles, and is currently in full HD resolution. Unfortunately, the transparency quality is slightly limited here because an interesting experience occurred where the client got it directly into the store, and we already knew that in the store it is extremely overlit and there are elements behind the display that terribly disturb and distort the image quality. These are LED tubes, LED strips, and when you look from the passage into the store, these things obviously distract you a lot, and the image is not as high quality contrast. That's why we implemented a film on the inner side of the glass, which reduces the transparency. But on the other hand, as we will try to show you during the real installation, the contrast of the image will stand out at that place. So there is still quality transparency at that place, but primarily quality image and contrast and viewing angles. So really here, it's not so dramatically visible. However, black in the content is transparent, but on the other hand, the colored part is non-transparent or fully colored. For these transparent OLED displays, we definitely recommend at least combining content, whether it's fully colored with content where there is a black background, because that's where the uniqueness of the transparent OLED stands out, as you can see through, and at the same time something is displayed on the window or the display. Another technical thing we really recommend based on experience is that these are OLED displays, which means a kind of living organism. And just like you remember with plasmas, these displays will burn in over time. This especially happens with content that is, let's say, commercial advertising, because the same loop is constantly repeated. It's not like a TV at home where you watch a movie and basically every time there's a slightly different spectrum of colors and the content is different across the entire display. The reason I'm saying this is that displays must be able to perform the so-called brushing function, which is a cleaning function for the image. For OLED displays, it is 100 times more important that every time the display is turned on, the so-called brushing mode must occur, meaning the display goes completely dark, and for about 2 to 2.5 minutes, the individual LEDs, the image, are cleaned from the residual parasitic ghost or image. Subsequently, it turns on, and then there is one final cleaning, which takes about 10 seconds. Then, to really use the display long term without seeing the residual image, the ghost, brushing is recommended every 4 hours, which lasts about 2 minutes. It's not disruptive at all. The display is just black or transparent, but every 4 hours we recommend the brushing function. Of course, it can be every 8 or 12 hours depending on the type of content, but for commercial use, every 4 hours is almost a necessity. Otherwise, after a month or 2 or 3, you'll start seeing residual images from previous campaigns on the display, and essentially the display loses a bit of its transparency effect. Nevertheless, everything is set up to work plug and play. You plug it in, everything starts, cleans itself, and the content runs either on Linux or Android. However, if you connect two images, it's necessary for either your system or ours to support the image pairing function, and it's also necessary to provide specific video content or content to the display in the resolution you see, which is almost square. So thanks, and maybe next time we'll have a specific implementation of this technology. Maybe we'll take a look at the end, at least a little from the other side, so you can see the transparency really works. Currently we're positioned so that the camera is inside the store and I'm in front of the display. Right now there's full color content, so the transparency is a bit lost at the moment. In a moment there will be content with a black background and you'll see a significant change in the display's transparency. And now we have a video with a black background, so there should be a noticeable change in transparency. That's all from me for now. If you have any questions, feel free to check out ugomedia.eu or give us a call and we'll show you our technologies, including this beauty. I hope I've explained everything or at least introduced the technology so you can take the best from it and pointed out some features that really need attention. And for more information, definitely check out our website ugomedia.eu or feel free to call us and we'll show you a lot of these digital technologies, including this beauty right here. Thanks, and we'll definitely set up some other technologies soon.